So my name is Anita Šimac. I'm a Scientix ambassador from Croatia, and I'm very happy, thrilled to be with you today to tell you a little bit about the Sea Eco STEAM project, which is related to, of course, STEM and sustainability. The goal of this competition was to raise awareness of the negative effects of the ever-increasing climate changes on Earth. Specifically those that have affected Southeast Europe, hence the name SEE, S-E-E. So the effects on Southeast Europe over the past years have been immense. Also, the competition related to this project was exploring all the possibilities of mitigating such changes. So, just to tell you a little bit about the participants of this competition, there were schools involved from 3 different countries, from Croatia, from Serbia, and from Bosnia and Herzegovina. We, as preparation for entering this competition and the project itself, attended a webinar. So all the participants, specifically the teachers and mentors of the groups, attended regional webinars where we learned more about climate changes and the relationship between weather and climate. Being a mathematics teacher myself, I had to heavily rely on my geography colleague from school. So the 2 of us were mentors for a group of 7 children, 7 students. The ages of the pupils themselves ranged from 11 years to 14. So it was very much a team effort, a group effort. So this was the very beginning of the project itself, attending a webinar with experts who explained all the problems of climate change and how we as individuals can make a difference and are responsible for making a difference. The photograph that you see on the right-hand side of the screen is a photograph of the location of the school in which I work in. As you can see, I'm very fortunate to be working and having such a magnificent view next to the sea. And because our school itself is located just a few meters from the sea, the placement itself, the placement around the area, gives very specific microclimate characteristics. We taught the children that, of course, the sea accumulates a large amount of heat during the summer month, so it warms us like a radiator in the winter, and in the summer it helps to cool us down more slowly than on the land. Due to the proximity of the sea itself, the micro, as I mentioned, the microclimatic changes are very specific. The actual project goals, well, we were given the task of inspiring our students to investigate climatic conditions in our local community, in our schoolyards, to collect all the various data and analysis and investigate how the climate has been changing. So make a comparison as such of various data, and then propose and develop a creative solution to mitigate these changes. The presentation of the entire process and the final results, where we were told that we had to be very creative. So for me, as a mathematics, as a STEM teacher, it is very important to inspire my students to mathematically apply the knowledge they have gained in the classroom, but to try and be as creative as possible as they can with all the results of each and every project or each and every investigation that they do. So we were, as I mentioned, given a plan, and this is how we presented it to our students. Make perhaps a meteorological station. this is part of the creativity process that they were engaged in. I like to get my students to work hands-on. So as important as it is to be critical thinkers with regards to the information that they acquire via the internet and various sources from the internet, it is also important that they apply knowledge hands-on, that they are creative with their hands. I find that in today's technologically advanced society, children do still like to be very active with their hands. So this was something that they really enjoyed, making a rain gauge, a barometer, as you will see in slides later on. But we were given an Arduino set, which the children had never seen before. So that was quite a challenge, getting that to work and seeing how humidity can be measured using this Arduino set. They also measured the temperature in the schoolyard on an hourly basis. So from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening, every hour on the hour, this group of students documented the difference in temperature measurement. And of course, we took a trip to the weather station in our local community, the meteorological station. We arranged for an informative meeting with all the employees that work in the weather station. That was also very interesting for our students to see how knowledge can be applied in real world situations. When the students ask me, why do we need to learn this in mathematics? How can it be applied to real life situations? And this is a brilliant example of showing that if you want to be a meteorologist, if you want to discover how you can make a change with the climate, then you have to apply mathematical knowledge. So this was an example of the children getting creative with very basic bottles or glass jars and so forth, and applying these devices to measure precipitation, for example, and what does that mean, how to make a barometer, what is a barometer used for, and as you can see on the right hand side, this is their little mini meteorological station. Again, the measurements that they took were all documented photographically and in a green diary. So this is just a brief photograph, a screenshot of part of their entries in the green diaries. The thermometer was donated to us. They didn't make a thermometer, but they placed it in such an area where it was sheltered, that was positioned correctly, shielded from all sources of heat radiation, radiation from the ground or other nearby objects. And again, this was very practical learning. The importance of sustainable development goals and how to achieve these SDGs is so important. And with projects like these, where the children are learning, are critically assessing, measuring, applying their knowledge, this is just a very, very good example of how being responsible and learning about their local environment is also a way of being responsible towards the planet. So by understanding the environmental issues in the local community, the children are contributing to positive changes to the wider environment. Even small changes that we can make as individuals have a great impact on the wider community. We encourage all of our pupils to be responsible citizens of the planet. So the first step is, of course, looking after your own local community. It's also, as I mentioned before, essential that they understand how to apply the knowledge they've gained in the classroom to real life situations. In this way, they are much more motivated to learn. The learning that they achieve in the classroom has a purpose. So by investigating the changes in the temperature measurements, they really begin to understand the way that our climate has changed. So this is the Arduino set and the green diary that we were given at the start of the project, and the measurements of temperature, in this case also, and air humidity with the Arduino and the sensor was very interesting to them, how such a small to them a small gadget, such a small device could actually produce such accurate data. So now comes the mathematics, how to apply all the measurements, how to present them in such a way that is understandable to the children. And this is something that they undertook, that they presented in the form of column and line displays, their measurements throughout this 1 month period of extensive measuring and documenting. And when they presented their results in such a visual display, then of course to them it makes much more sense than data that is just written down. So this is very much applying mathematical knowledge gained in the classroom to a real life situation. Again, once they'd managed to document a whole month's worth of data, we again visited the meteorological station, which is actually located not too far away from our school. Again, very much similar microclimatic conditions and settings as our school. So the data that they gained from the meteorological station could realistically be applied and compared to the data that the children themselves had documented. They decided not to go back too far in history with comparing results, just a year, in order to see whether there would be many differences in the temperature measured. And the very last snapshot on the slide shows the positive differences, all apart from, I think, 2 instances on 2 different days of temperature. So to them, it was really amazing to understand, even in 1 year, how much the temperature had increased. So a positive increase on a daily basis of temperature just in 1 year. Once all of this data had been accumulated, assessed, and approached with a very kind of critical mind, the children were then asked to present a proposal. How could they make a change? How could they be smart about making a change to their local environment? And some of the solutions were very easy to implement. Planting trees, for example, cleaning the school environment. These are all initiatives that we've undertaken in the past. Recycling, getting the schools and the local volunteer clubs to assist. But the main, I would say, proposal for them was to create a school garden. Now, where would this school garden be located? Although we do have a small green area around our school where the children endeavored to plant local plants, in our case, these were olive trees, seeing as we're located on the Mediterranean. We also decided to recycle old tires and plants in our schoolyard. But we decided, or should I say the children decided in the team, that the ideal solution with regards to the lack of space that we have in our school is to create an urban garden on the school roof. What would this look like? Well, again, the children use this opportunity to research renewable energy sources, using smart solar benches, the sun's energy, for perhaps having lessons in this school garden, in this urban garden on our school roof, but also planting in this area. This again was an opportunity to apply mathematical knowledge. So the children measured, drew, sketched, and calculated the area that they would have available to them in order to devise such a garden. So again, a very practical use of mathematics and the knowledge that they've gained in their classroom. Not only did they devise an urban roof garden, but then they financially planned the cost of actually achieving this, of building this, and maintaining this urban roof garden.
So, Anita, so sorry
yes?
to interrupt you. Just 1 more minute remaining.
No problem. I'm almost finished. Thank you very much. So this is the second to last slide. All of the work that they undertook can actually be read in this digital book. There's a link there and a QR code if you would like to scan that or look into this in more detail. The book itself has over 70 pages, so I couldn't present every single detail, but please feel free to look up the digital book and you'll find much information within there of the resources that we used and the investigation that we undertook. I just wanted to say very big thank you at the end, but to emphasize how important student agency is in all of the projects that I do, because by taking control of learning, then all of the pupils have a higher sense of accomplishment when they achieve the end result. So this is definitely key. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. I will stop sharing now if there are any questions.
There is one question in the chat about what was the background and or the experience of the students before engaging in this project?
Well, these were students that were in lower secondary school. So they had some knowledge from their geography teacher, for example, but not very deep knowledge. The project was a wonderful way of teaching them more about climate change and their responsibility towards the climate. So they did not have in-depth knowledge before the project.
Thank you. Are there other questions, maybe?
Thank you for your time. Thank you for again your patience because of my technical issues, and I'm very happy to have shared our experiences with you this afternoon.